Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live Office Hours. So what do all the kids want for Christmas? The holidays? It's answers to their Speedify questions, and that's what we're delivering today. So I'm Alex. I'm here with Kevin.
Hello.
We are some of the developers of Speedify, and we're here to answer whatever questions you have. So, post them underneath or to the side, wherever you're seeing comments on this video. YouTube, Twitch, bunch of them. We see the comments and then we respond to them. So nice. Nice to see a lot of you showing up, commenting already. Somebody suggested I should ask what you guys think about zero trust security. Question here that somebody posted is, does your workplace use a zero trust security model? I think I'd rather ask you guys to explain to me what you think a zero trust security model is. I feel like I've heard more answers than I've asked people the question to. A funny thing about zero trust, I have met a number of people who are insulted by it, right? My understanding is that zero trust is about not trusting any particular computer or IP address, that you're trying to just trust the people. So there's zero trust for IPs and computers. But I've heard a number of people be seriously annoyed, saying with comments about how their company doesn't trust them, and they're putting in zero trust. And I think it's a real issue. I think there are a bunch of really annoyed people. All right, let's see. All right, Desraj, please, very high latency feature, more improve, and please explain max latency time for best bonding for YouTube live stream. I'm from India. That's funny. Kevin and I were just in our office messing around with latencies and live streams and arguing about what we could do better. So I think improvements are coming. I'm not quite sure what your issue is, but we're messing around with, getting better performance when you have, crazy latency, huge changes in latency when you're in the middle of a live stream. I think we can do something. And just FYI, here is Speedify on this computer. And so this is what it looks like for those of you who don't know. So it is combining two internet connections. Unfortunately, they're both connected to the same Comcast cable modem. So I take my iPhone and the lightning cable that someone just ran in after we went live, and I plug it in. And now, within moments, we should see the phone appear as another internet connection, unless this is like just a charging cable. That would be totally typical. The whole USB charging versus data cable thing is so frustrating. There it is. No, not even slow, but there we go. So we got another cellular connection. All right. Mark of Excellence asks, are there certain routers that are more likely to have less issues than others when running Speedify? How about the GLINet travel router or the GLINet top of line home router? Don't remember name. Kevin, I'll let you take this.
Yeah, we've tested with a few different GLINet routers, and we've been making improvements recently. When we originally launched, there were issues with the UI working with GLINet, and then we fixed some things, and then they broke some things, and then we fixed some things. So there's a little bit of a work in progress with the GLINet, but they should be working pretty well now. I mean, we haven't tested every single model, but I know like the Slate AX and some of the other common ones we've tested, and Speedify works well. But also, most routers that just run general OpenWRT should work fine, as long as they either have an ARM processor or a MIPS little Indian processor. It depends on the versions of OpenWRT.
I'm gonna disagree a little. The MIPS processors it runs on, but they're so slow.
Yeah.
that, you know, it's fine if you're trying to combine two 2 megabit 3G connections or something, but you cannot go hundreds of megabits on something with a, you know, MIPS processor.
Right. So yeah, it certainly depends on your use case and what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, if you
Even
have
on
the option for an
even
ARM,
on an
yeah.
ARM, it's important that you get one with AES encryption. Although I have to say, I think just about everything except the Raspberry Pi 4 has hardware encryption. I was talking about this the other day. The Raspberry, a lot of people are saying, oh, the Raspberry Pi 5 is 30% faster than the Raspberry Pi 4. Not for Speedify, it's not. For Speedify, it's more than double the speed. It can go twice as fast while keeping the CPU below 50%. So I'm suspecting it's actually 4 times faster. I don't know exactly. It is so much faster, but you know, don't touch that. Sorry, rant.
Yeah, but yeah, the top of the line GLInet ones should be good for running Speedify. They're mostly pretty capable, and yeah, we test Speedify on some of those different GLInet models.
Yes, again, in the GLInet, you got to look the high end. All the better ones use the ARM processors with the hardware encryption. The cheaper models use other processors. They don't have this consistent technology thing. Like a lot of the ones that are below $100 are using the MIPS, which I warned about, right?
Yeah, and you
I
can
mean,
usually look on their.
They say if you look on their website.
Yeah, if you look on the website, usually they'll advertise what the open VPN or WireGuard speeds are, and the ones that are like 20 megabits or 30 megabits of open VPN, you probably want to stay away from those. They're going to be too slow performance-wise for most cases.
All right. Zero trust. John says, it's the X-Files. Trust no one, internal or external.
Yeah, I mean, as much as people get offended when you look at how security incidents happen, a lot of times it's the people that get compromised.
Yeah, so we had somebody, you know, we went through and made sure that everyone here, you know, so we're very much built around a zero trust security model, that everyone here had permissions to do everything they need to do in their job, but not things that they never do. And, you know, a few people were briefly very insulted. Why don't I have permission to, like, because you don't need to do that, right? And then you're not responsible if your account gets hacked, right? The hacker who gets you doesn't have permission to do any of those things either, right? So. All right. Brian says, my concern is that when I use extra cell phones, Verizon, AT&T, Mint, etc., I feel like those phones hijack the connection by sending all the traffic over the Wi-Fi hotspot router, slowing down the goal stream.
Trying to.
Not quite sure.
Yeah, can you give any more context of exactly what you're doing? Were you using the Speedify pair and share feature? Is that what you're talking about? That you think the traffic from the pair and share connections is slowing down the Wi-Fi hotspot? Because we limit to only trying to do 10 megabits over the Wi-Fi per cell phone. So unless your Wi-Fi is really, really slow, there should be enough bandwidth for other things to happen. We try not to overwhelm the Wi-Fi, but I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about or something else.
When I started live streaming from iPhone with Speedify in YouTube, description and tags disappear. Is it a Speedify issue or from the app Prism Live that I am streaming?
Doesn't sound like something I would suspect is a Speedify issue. I don't know what Speedify could be doing to make that disappear, so I would suspect the live streaming app, but I don't know for sure. But I can't imagine
if the live stream is getting through, but not the tags, that doesn't really sound like a Speedify problem.
Yeah.
All right.
List of routers. Yeah. So yeah, there's.
So here's a list of routers in the comments. Mark says, got it, thanks. When using Speedify for failover only, how fast is switch time? Traditional failover system seems to be up 30 seconds. Speedify will perform failover a bit faster.
So it's a nuanced question, but I mean, the answer is usually very quick, very much quicker than 30 seconds, usually within a second or so. But it depends how much traffic you're sending at the time, what you're doing, the latency of your connection, so some different factors like that. But it's usually pretty seamless, very, very quick that it'll switch over, that you won't notice
Unless
a difference.
you're doing something crazy, it's
Right.
sub-second.
Right. Yeah.
It's quick enough that if you're in the middle of a file upload, it just switches the upload without anything timing out or whatever, right? I mean, yeah, it's not 30 seconds. We're more than an order of magnitude better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's some crazy setup with satellite connections and things where you can get it higher, but the normal case is sub-second.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're sitting there just watching pings, that might be a little slower. It might take a few seconds because there's not much traffic going. But if you have something sending consistent traffic, yeah, it's usually within a couple round trip times we're going to notice and switch you over that you probably won't even notice the switch over.
Yeah, so an important nuance about Speedify, in order to not waste your data and battery and stuff, we don't send a whole lot of heartbeat packets. We don't run speed tests by ourselves. We're just timing all of your packets. So the more data you send, the smarter Speedify gets, right? You send a couple packets and now we know the latency. You send a few more, now we know the latency and jitter. You send a lot of packets, now we know the connection speed. And it turns out if you're sending no packets, what does it matter how fast your internet connection is? It takes a little while to get that through our thick heads. And we don't need to know everything. If you're not using the internet, what does it matter how fast it is? So we got that all fixed up. And yeah, so a tricky thing. So if all you're running is ping, they're sending one packet per second, Speedify doesn't know that much. But if you start a live stream, now we know everything. And we start reacting faster because there's more data. Hope that helps. And yeah, we did a video discussing Zero Trust. You can check it out on our YouTube. Here's a link. If you're watching this on Twitch, which I see some of you are, you can pop over to YouTube after the stream, search for Speedify, and there's a lot of cool videos. We're posting a lot of videos besides the live streams. Brian Purdell, our Chief Technical Officer, says, usually with pair and share, the local Wi-Fi connection is plenty fast compared to the 10 megabits from each of the cell connections. All right. Brian says, I chatted a stream at baseball games. The iPhone may have an update or something. Wi-Fi is in hotspot mode.
Yeah, so this is going back to his previous comment about the different phones. Okay, so you have a Wi-Fi hotspot, mobile hotspot, and then the extra cell phones.
Should we ask him to send us an email?
Yeah, it might be best if you email, send exactly what you're seeing. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble following.
Ken asks, can Speedify work correctly if two links have the same IP address?
In most cases, yes. I mean, you run the risk of IP conflicts in some cases where it gives out the exact same IP address. That can cause issues. But in most cases, the operating systems are going to be able to recognize these are different interfaces, even if they have the same IPs. It's best if you can. If you have control and can get different IP addresses on different things, that helps remove confusion and make sure things are separate. But in most cases, it's not going to be a problem unless you have true actual conflicts with the IP addresses.
I haven't checked. This came up last week, and someone in the comments said that Starlinks, which was the one spot we were running into this, they always used to be 192.168.100.1, that there's now a setting in Starlink that if you have two Starlinks, you can change one to a different IP address, which is a fantastic improvement. And I haven't checked yet. We have two Starlinks here. We'll check that this afternoon. So it should work, right, is the quick answer, Ken. But if you have any way to change the IP address, you'll be happier if you do.
Yeah, it's best to remove any of that possibility of conflict and just have different ranges if you can.
Yeah. Toasty says, I am doing an IRL live stream on YouTube using 3 phones with 3 SIMs in the same network. Which app would you suggest is the best for direct live stream from the phone, except for YouTubing app? I don't know. I use, but I'm not even recommending it. I just, what the heck do I use? The one from the Lyrics Broadcaster is what I use for that. Works for me. It is very bare bones, but you know, I don't believe in fancy software. Ironically, you know, it lacks a lot of the features that other things have, but worked for me. But I think there's probably other people who review apps for this sort of thing. Is there any way you could avoid having all three on the same?
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, you didn't ask about that, but yeah. If you
you didn't ask about that, but I was looking on Linux. Apparently, there are options to poke it and say, well, why don't you take this sim and go off and use a different band than those ones? But I don't think iPhones have any option like that. I think they're each going to pick what they think is the band with strongest signal on that carrier, and when you turn them all on, they're all sitting next to each other. They're going to pick the same tower and probably the same channel. So yeah, if there's any way you could get something else in there.
Yeah, at least one of them on a different network. It gives you a little bit of yeah.
Email. All right. Yeah, Lyrics Broadcaster.
We used.
Sued, used. Nice people. Lyrics. Also have a video coming out about Raspberry Pi 500 and the Raspberry Pi monitor. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Raspberry Pi 500 is the new computer in a keyboard. It's the equivalent to the Raspberry Pi 5, but with better heat sinking. So it actually goes faster than the Raspberry Pi 5. Lovely device for $90, $120 if you get it with all the cables you need and a mouse. Yeah, I recommend it. Runs Speedify great. Runs Home Assistant great. It's really nice. Have you ever found yourself in network madness by turning on or plugging in a rogue DHCP into your network? It's quite common third-party integrations, space routers.
Plenty of times. We wrote code to avoid that with Connect by Hotspot.
I have done that numerous times. There is now, in things like Connectify Hotspot, our software for making a hotspot, there's all kinds of safety software that if Alex creates a loop, it stops and pops up a message. Yeah, so we've put a bunch of smarts in, which is not to say that, you know, somebody like Alex can't come along and do something so brilliantly idiotic that he gets around it. But we try pretty hard to avoid things like that. No, it did it again. All right. Let's rant again about how bad obsolete is. It's so bad that I think we should never use them again. It is turning by itself. That's incredible. Let's see, a little app here, I can turn it back. But nobody was touching that app. What's going on here? Too far.
You're going the wrong way. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if we're centered.
I know we're not. What is with this stupid thing?
Right way? Is it running into something? No. Or is it just fighting you?
It is fighting me. Look at that. It's driving by itself. Have we been hacked? No. I'm sure not, given the... I turned on motion tracking and normal tracking. What is this? What a garbage piece of software. Yeah. All right. So I don't know. We're probably going to toss obsolete out of here. It's nice hardware, but their software messes up every single stream. Unbelievable. Just blah. All right. Yeah, camera gone raw. Yeah. Yeah. We got 3. I have to tell you a true story. The reason we have the 3 obs bots is that another streamer who bought them had enough of them and gave them to us, and we thought they were just kind of whining about the software. How bad could it be? So we took them, and we're super thankful because why would a guy be giving away such expensive new hardware? And yeah, it was the Muri folks. So anyway, that's where we're at.
So Marco excellence. Yeah, up here.
Okay,
We missed
Marco
time.
excellence suite. Yeah.
Custom domains. So yeah, I mean, worth mentioning that you can do that today if you're on Windows or Linux, something with the Speedify CLI, one of the desktop platforms. But yeah, we don't have that exposed in our normal UI for adding custom domains to bypass, but it's on our list to expose. So we have the internal support for it, but it's not exposed nicely in our UI right now. So it's on our list.
I've heard of companies creating Slack bots to trigger alerts when a router is plugged into a corporate network. Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, I think we're running out of time here, but a question that I guess I'll ask next week. Are there Slack alerts you would want out of Speedify, either as an individual, as a company? At one point, I wired up a bot that, like poked when people connected to Speedify and when people disconnected, when their internets went out, and everyone decided that it was just super annoying. And I was putting all this garbage into our Slack, and I ripped it all out and we never released it as a feature. But are there things you would like to be, notified, or have your administration notified, or,
Yeah, maybe with Speedify on routers now, there could be useful to get notifications to go check your router or something.
When your primary internet connection goes out and you're just running on cellular, it feels like maybe we should tell you. All right. DOSD for IRL live streaming in YouTube using iPhone 16 Pro Max, not camera, etc., which is connected to 3 SIMs. What method do you think is the best way for maximum quality and fewer network issues? So you have your phone. It's got a SIM, and I think I would join the hotspot of another. I assume all you have is 3 SIMs. So you join the hotspot of another phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, I don't know if he has multiple. Does each phone have a SIM? Do you have 3 phones, or you have 1 phone and 3 SIMs, and you're trying to figure out how to connect them?
Yeah, I think you want to get them all in a hotspot here, and use pair and share to share the connections between them. Even if one of the phones is making the hotspot because you're in the field and there's no router or whatever. iPhone 16 can have an eSIM and a built-in SIM, but it's actually only using one at a time. It's dual SIM, dual standby, DSDS. It is not using both SIMs at the same time. So, so try to get them on a Wi-Fi network together and use the pair and share feature to get them talking and sharing the extra 10 megabits. All right, I think we are out of time here. Thanks, everybody. I will see you all online.